The landscape of Season of Discovery is about to seismically shift in Phase 7, with players rushing to uncover new secrets in the impenetrable Naxxramas raid, as well as shocking new bosses, dare we say Arthas, and original questlines related to the most inspiring weapons like Corrupted Ashbringer. But if you want Naxxramas to be where you get all your dream loot, where you experience all the epic moments, the phase you top the damage meters, you've gotta make sure you don't miss out on any crucial steps. That's where my Phase 7 Naxxramas prep guide comes in, with all the latest and greatest information to make Phase 7 your phase. Before we get to the guide though, let me know in the comments, what's your main motivation to play Phase 7? For me, it's going into Naxxramas on a DPS arc for the first time. Experiencing a Feral Druid, I want to get away from healing for a little bit, it's going to be so much fun. So getting started, before we do anything else, you have to hit level 60. My Phase 7 catch-up guide in the top right is going to help you with the specifics. The TLDR though, questing, incursion mob killing, doing the incursion quests, and dungeon spamming too. The problem with incursions, there are going to be all sorts of level 60s there, farming for skinning profit, and they're going to be ganking you like crazy. I have a hot take that they shouldn't allow level 60s into incursions, but if you disagree, hit me in the comments. So because ganking is a problem, on my new druid, I was really spamming dungeons like Scarlet Monastery. It's fun, the mobs die really fast, and you get about a level every single hour. Once you hit level 60, it's instantly about getting Naxxramas attuned. To get attuned for Naxxramas, you've got to get at least honored with Argent Dawn to even have the privilege of paying for attunement. The current cost is 60 gold, 5 arcane crystals, 2 nexus crystals, and a righteous orb. Higher reputation levels though mean discounts on your attunement, and Exalted is completely free. To get your Argent Dawn rep to honored in less than 90 minutes, I've got a plan. All you've got to do is get your Argent Dawn commission from the Bulwark or Chillwind Pass if you're Horde or Alliance. You've got to find the most geared Shaman tank or the most geared Paladin tank, and you can do entire Stratholme clears in less than 10 minutes. So being allowed in Naxx, it's not guaranteeing you a raid spot, so now we've got to get geared up as quickly as we can. We want to get Prebiz, and Momo's sheet below the video with the Prebiz tab is really the best starting place. If that's not enough, most of the class discords as well for Classic, they have pins with all sorts of helpful biz lists as well. Definitely take a very close look at all the enchants too. Gloves, chest. If you haven't been playing WoW for a while, there's all sorts of new enchants you'll want to get. The biggest thing to understand about Phase 7 gearing though is, first, sure, you could find a Molten Core or an AQ40 or a BWL, and you get all sorts of tarnished Undermine Reals, you're getting accessory pieces, and you do want to do that. And you definitely want to run ZG, AQ10, any and every raid you can get into. But above all else, you really want to get Sanctified pieces. Sanctified is the new Phase 7 gear, and it scales up every single week in Naxxramas based on your new Seal of the Dawn buff. You upgrade every week, and it multiplies your damage, your threat, your HP, your healing. As for where you get those pieces though, you'll definitely want to start with the Scourge Invasions, because that gives you the 3-piece Undead Slaying set. If you have that 3-piece set, it counts as 5 Sanctified pieces, which is insane. I've got a full Scourge Invasion guide in the top right, but the biggest thing you need to know, there's purple skulls on the map. You head to the locations I'll link below, and then all you gotta do is try to get these 3 pieces of Undead Slaying. There's a glove, there's a bracer, and there's a chest piece. The gloves, they come from killing Scourge mobs for necrotic runes. The bracers, they come from rare mobs near the event, or more likely from the auction house. Then the chest, it either comes from Shadows of Doom that spawn near the end of the event, or you can get them from Karazhan Crypts as well. So getting your 3-piece Undead Slaying set is definitely key, but another reason you want to do the Scourge Invasion event is to get Heart of Doom. The Heart of Doom is a brand new quest item that you get from clicking the crystals at the end of the invasion. The hearts, they turn in for Remnants of Valor at Light's Hope Chapel, and those remnants are exactly the item you'll be using to upgrade your Sanctified trinket every single week. The rumored amount for week 1 to get to the level 2 Sanctified is 150 remnants. That would take you 4 Scourge Invasions, but you can keep farming as much as you want if you want to be safe. After you've checked the Scourge Invasions off your list, the only other Prebiz source of Sanctified gear is going to be the Karazhan Crypts. My Karazhan Crypts tips guide is in the top right if you need some help, but for my priest, it was all about getting the Sanctified necklace, the belt, and other classes they have rings as well you want to get. With time being so limited, all I can recommend is to make sure you make groups where people aren't going to steal your loot. Try to get people that aren't competing on the same pieces of loot, or even better, they have all the gear already. If you get really unlucky from Karazhan Crypts though, there are additional sources of Sanctified gear outside the raid. To get my Prebiz ring or even a 30-slot bag, I would need at least Honor Argent Dawn rep and 2 types of insignias too. The insignias of the Dawn come from turning in dark iron scraps in the Light's Hope Chapel or by fulfilling craftsman writs. Those you can just buy directly on the auction house, no problem. Then you get the insignia of the Crusade items from turning in Savage Fronts or from craftsman writs as well. Everything's expensive, but finding a tailor to do the runecloth robe writs was definitely the cheapest option for me. Also, craftable bind and equip bracers, chests, gloves, even a cloak. And the materials primarily you're going to get from the frozen runes, which are a trash drop inside of Naxxramas. These items, plus the zone drops, are exactly why, instead of rushing into Naxxramas, I plan to do an entire night of trash farming with about 10 people, and I'm going to make so much money and get a ton of crafts as well. Will you be raiding Naxxramas day 1, or do you plan to do it a different day, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, for example? I'm perfectly okay delaying my Naxxramas and making a ton of money. So one last key note on gearing is that there is a brand new shoulder enchant that you can buy in Light's Hope Chapel, and you get to pick one of any of the tier set bonuses from the previous phases. In my case, I'm going to be going with the 25% Circle of Healing crit bonus on my priest. It's insanely strong. The current way to get these shoulder enchants, and it's up in the air, is to get 5 Corruptor Scourge Stones. It seems hard on paper, but actually only takes about 5 minutes inside of Stratholme if you've got one of those insane geared shamans or prot paladins. So with your gear in that epic Arthas slaying form, there's only one real step we need to get fully prepared. That step is to get a stash of the latest, the greatest consumables to deal with all the challenging new bosses in Naxx. It all depends on your situation, because one guild I raid with, they plan on doing an 8-hour degen session, which means 8 flasks, 50 or 60 mana potions, tons of buff food, spell power flasks, you name it. The best way to find out exactly what you need to bring is to use your sim from the sheet below the video. If you click on your class and you click on the settings, you can see exactly which Phase 7 potions, consumes, buffs are the very best to maximize output. Of course, don't forget about the brand new sharpening stones, the wizard oils, to amp up your damage even more. You don't want to forget those. If you're worrying about the event disappearing before you get your consumes, though, don't worry, because it's going to last at least through the phase. So with this prep guide, you're going to be attuned, you're going to be geared up in sanctified gear in no time, and you'll be ready to take on the epic challenges in Naxxramas. I am very curious to hear how you guys feel about prep for Phase 7 this time around, because frankly, I was overwhelmed at first, but it turned out to be way easier, way faster than I could have imagined. Especially the Corruptor Scourge Stones, I literally got 5 in 3 minutes. Thank you so much for watching though, guys. Make sure to subscribe and like the video, or you're gonna miss my huge new Naxx DPS tier list. Considering I'm going back to DPS for the first time in a long time, this one should be good. Also, while you wait, make sure to check out my massive video on everything Karazhan Crypts.